The monsoon session of India's Parliament began today amid a massive uproar by the opposition. Proceedings in both houses were repeatedly disrupted due to continuous sloganeering and shouting and protests. Meanwhile, the Union Law and Justice Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal introduced the Supreme Court Number of Judges Expansion Amendment Bill 2026 in the lower house of Parliament today.
With your kind permission, I rise to lay on the table an explanatory statement, Hindi and English versions, showing reasons for immediate legislation by promulgation of the Supreme Court Number of Judges Amendment Ordinance 2026, number 1 of 2026.
Meanwhile, the Rajya Sabha Chairman C.P. Radhakrishnan on Monday administered the oath to 9 newly elected members of the upper house. The members who took the oath represent the states of Gujarat, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Rajasthan and West Bengal. And our correspondent Vishal Barrister is following developments in Parliament. He joins us now in the rain. Vishal, what are the key bills that the government is expecting to get passed in this session?
A very good afternoon to you, Mark. The day one has been, as expected, quite disruptive, and there have been repeated disruption by the opposition. Both houses stand adjourned as of now, but let me tell you that the government was very keen to at least see through 2 bills. One was which was introduced by the Law Minister in the lower house of the Parliament, which was the Supreme Court Amendment Bill. The government wants to increase the number of judges in the Supreme Court from 34, which includes 33 judges and the Chief Justice of India plus 1, to 38, which means 37 judges and plus 1 the Chief Justice of India. Why? Because the number of pending cases stands at 92,000. This is the mid-26 figure I am telling you. And in the upper house, the bill regarding the national song was also to be introduced, but the house stands adjourned. We know that today has been quite a disruptive day, as was expected, because the opposition is hell-bent on discussion of on the issue of NEET and also on the issue of Ram Temple.
Indeed. It started on a stormy note, it looks like, and you're aware it's the monsoon session after all, and you're holding an umbrella. But, what are the key issues that are likely to be discussed in the session? You did mention that the opposition has raised NEET. What are the other kind of issues?
Well, Mark, the other issues have taken have been taken on the back burner as of now, because outside the high voltage drama continues. In fact, security has been also beefed up inside the Parliament, as well as agitating students are holding a demonstration which has not been allowed by the Delhi police. In fact, Delhi police had also issued an advisory asking all the students not to take part in the agitation. This is also quite a discomfort to the people of Delhi, because there are long traffic jams, and also the metro services have also been affected. But when we talk about the important issues, one is which has to be taken in this session, and that could not be passed in the budget session. That is the 131st Constitution Amendment Bill, and the government wants to introduce here, in this session. And the idea is to raise the number of members in the Parliament from 550 to 850. That would also include women reservation. Now, this would be based on the 2011 census. So a lot of important things are to be discussed, but we have seen that there has hardly been any business that has been transacted in this session today. Both houses have seen repeated disruption. In fact, the opposition members, they started shouting slogans, and they were holding placards in their hands, which was not allowed as far as the speaker is concerned. Speaker repeatedly said that this is not the tradition of the Parliament. So he has been quite repeatedly appealing to the members of the opposition. In fact, the Prime Minister also appealed and expected the opposition to take part in the proceedings of the House, but we have seen how there has been repeated disruptions, total bedlam in both the houses of the Parliament.
Also, Vishal, you did mention about the delimitation bill, the 131st Constitution Amendment Bill. Of course, it's linked to women's reservation as well. It was not passed in the budget session. There are, the conflicting reports whether the government will bring it in this session or not. What's the news? Would it be reintroduced?
Well, according to my sources, according to my sources, the bill stands to be reintroduced, and we know that the NDA numbers are slowly but steadily swelling up. We've seen how the breakaway faction of the Trinamool Congress, they have joined the National Citizen Party of India, NCPI, and they have been allotted a separate seating arrangement, 20 out of the total 28. Now that's more than a 3/4 chunk of TMC that has broken away from its parent party. That's an interesting development. But still, the NDA needs to garner more support. We know that the government would be requiring 2/3 majority. As of now, they stand at 318. If we also include those who have defected from the Trinamool Congress and also other MPs from the Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray party. So it is to be seen how situation progresses further. But as I speak to you now, the high voltage drama continues outside the Parliament, and it is also affecting the proceedings of the House in both the houses.
Right, Vishal, we need to continue with you because we had a guest, but unfortunately we're not able to connect with him. So you will stand in that stead. So you tell us a little bit also about the Prime Minister's call for patriotic, nationally committed voices, and in his talk earlier, and he also wants facts and arguments over the turmoil. Obviously, the Prime Minister referring to the current political climate. But the opposition is not paying heed.
Well, absolutely, Mark, and I would be happy to be your guest in this reign. Yes, Prime Minister also spoke about how India has been progressing rapidly, and despite of all the global tensions and the changing geopolitical situation, he clearly mentioned the situation in the West Asia. And he said that despite of all the problems and challenges, India has grown at the rate of 7.7%. He was talking about the GDP. India is one of the fastest growing economies of the world. And he also did mention how the youth of the country has brought laurels to the nation. He also spoke about how the spacecraft Vikram 1 was also shot up, and this is all because of the young talent pool that we have in this country. He also mentioned about the hydrogen train that was flagged off by the Prime Minister himself a few days back from Jind, Haryana, and he did mention that not very many countries in the world have this technology. So Prime Minister did try to touch upon the major issues in the country, what is making India proud and why opposition is so very important as far as the democratic setup of the country is concerned. He said that we have a lot of experience of parliamentarians, and it would be nice if they could also be heard and if they could also participate in the important issues of the Parliament because the growing demand of the aspirational India needs them. So he did try to reach out to the opposition. In fact, a day before also there was an all-party meeting headed by the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, in which the opposition had made it very clear that they would not let the government have its way. And so it has been quite an interesting, dramatic beginning of the monsoon session today.
Right. Also, a final word, Vishal. The Prime Minister spoke of respectful discourse in Parliament, and you did mention, of course, about Rajnath Singh, the Defence Minister, holding an all-party meet. What kind of efforts are being made, to move across the aisle to try and get, floor management in place so that we can probably see less disruptions in Parliament? Because the opposition often says that it's the government's duty to run the House.
Well, certainly the opposition is sticking to its stand. The government is saying that it would allow all kind of discussion, but the House has to be set in order. And this has been the story ever since the delimitation bill was introduced in the Parliament in the budget session. And today also, when we saw that after the obituary references, when the House assembled, I'm talking about the upper house of the Parliament, the leader of opposition, Mr. Khadge, he stood up, he said that an important issue needs to be discussed first. And let me draw your attention towards the important issue of NEET and how the issue of Ram Temple has taken all over the country. So, but the chair said that you need to first sit down because the business has to proceed. There is already a bill. The bill was introduced by the law minister in the lower house, and also in the upper house there was an important bill which was with regard to the national song. We remember how in 1971 the amendment took the national anthem, the constitution, the national flag on one page, but the national song was left aside, and that is why the government is keen to introduce a kind of punishment for those who show disrespect towards the national song.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Vishal Barristow, for putting things into perspective from Parliament House.